The loudest applause often hides the deepest resentment. You have felt it. You share a hard-earned victory, a promotion, a physical transformation, a moment of genuine peace, and the person closest to you smiles. But the smile never reaches their eyes. The room's temperature drops a fraction of a degree. A micro-expression of contempt flashes across their face before the mask of friendship slips back on. We are conditioned to fear the enemy who draws their sword. But the reality of human psychology is far more insidious. The true threat to your peace of mind and your progress is covert envy from those inside your inner circle. Carl Jung warned us about the shadow. When people refuse to confront their own unfulfilled potential, they project their inadequacy onto you. Your discipline becomes a mirror reflecting their laziness. Your success feels like a personal attack on their fragile ego. If you have ever felt that cold disconnect from someone you trusted, if you are ready to stop being emotionally drained by toxic undercurrents, hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and leave a like. Drop a comment below if you have experienced this silent betrayal, and share this with someone navigating a difficult circle. We dissect the unfiltered reality of human nature here. Let us dismantle the first psychological weapon of the covertly jealous, weaponized concern. They never attack your ambition directly. That would expose their bitterness. Instead, they disguise their sabotage as care. You tell them you are launching a new project, taking a risk, or changing your life path. Their immediate response is, "That is amazing, but aren't you worried about the financial risk? I just do not want to see you fail." It sounds like love. It is not. It is a projection of their own psychological paralysis. They are terrified of failure, so they attempt to infect you with their cowardice. Friedrich Nietzsche understood this deeply. He observed that people do not just envy what you have, they envy your courage to reach for it. When they ask if you are sure about your path, they are desperately hoping you will doubt yourself. They need you to stay exactly where you are. Your forward movement threatens their comfort zone. If you actually succeed, they run out of excuses for their own stagnation. You must recognize this manipulation for what it is. It is not advice. It is a psychological anchor designed to pull you back down to a level where they feel superior. The moment you start defending your choices to them, you have already lost. You have handed over your energy to someone who has no intention of seeing you win. The second psychological weapon is the assassination of your competence through the luck attribution fallacy. It sounds like this: "It must be nice to have so much free time to work on that," or "You really got in at the perfect time, didn't you?" When someone attributes your relentless grind to cosmic coincidence, they are not making a casual observation. They are administering psychological anesthesia to themselves. If your success is a product of brutal discipline, isolation, and sacrifice, then their lack of success is a product of their own choices. That reality is simply too agonizing for a fragile ego to process. Friedrich Nietzsche identified this specific human sickness as ressentiment. The venomous, simmering resentment, the stagnant harbor against the driven. To survive the pain of their own mediocrity, the jealous mind must invent a narrative where your victory is entirely unearned. You did not outwork them. The universe merely handed you a favor. Their ego requires your success to be an accident, so their failure can remain a tragedy. Do not argue with this mechanism. Do not exhaust yourself listing your sleepless nights, the relationships you lost, or the stress you endured to get where you are. Silence is the only impenetrable shield against ressentiment. When you attempt to prove your hard work, you validate their disrespect. You step into their frame. A cold, unapologetic smile and a simple, "Yes, timing is everything," strips them of the friction they desperately crave. Let them sleep comfortably in the bed of their own delusions. Your reality does not require their endorsement. Watch closely for the third interrogation tactic, the obsession with your metrics. So, exactly how much money is that making you now, or are you actually seeing any real ROI on that project yet? Jealousy is a rabid accountant. It cannot tolerate abstract success or genuine fulfillment. It demands a tangible number so it can calibrate its own self-worth. They are not asking out of inspiration. They are searching for a ceiling. They want a metric they can mentally dissect and diminish. Watch their facial expressions when you answer. If your number is lower than they expected, you will catch a micro smirk, followed instantly by patronizing encouragement. Keep at it. You'll get there. If your metric exceeds their psychological capacity, they will immediately break eye contact, pivot the conversation, or inject a sudden, unrelated criticism to balance the ledger. In depth psychology, this behavior is an attempt to reduce a human soul to a spreadsheet. Carl Jung noted that we despise in others what we deny in ourselves. They denied their own ambition. Now, your visible ambition is forcing them to look at their own wasteland. By asking for exact numbers, they are trying to bring your transcendent journey down to a mundane, cheap transaction. They want to commodify your passion so they can easily dismiss it. Your power here lies in become a black hole to their inquiries. The Stoic approach demands absolute opacity. Information is ammunition for the envious. I am very satisfied with the progress. End of sentence. Let the silence hang in the air. Let it become uncomfortable. You do not owe an auditor a look at your life's ledger, especially when their only goal is to find a deficit. The fourth tactic is the projection of cowardice, heavily disguised as prudent advice. Aren't you afraid of failing? They deliver this with furrowed brows, a soft tone, pretending to care about your security. Understand what is happening in this exact psychological transaction. They are not evaluating your capabilities. They are confessing their own paralysis. When a covertly jealous person asks if you are afraid, they are holding up a mirror to their own stagnant reality. They hesitate. They rot in their comfort zones. They trade their ambitions for the illusion of safety. Seeing you step into the arena, daring, risking, building, is a violent disruption to their internal narrative. If you try and succeed, it proves their inaction is a choice, not a circumstance. Friedrich Nietzsche extensively diagnosed this herd mentality. The herd despises the individual who steps out of line. Your courage is an active indictment of their cowardice. They weaponize the concept of failure to drag you back to the baseline. What if the market crashes? What if people judge you? What if you lose everything? They desperately need your fear to validate their inertia. They want you to panic so they can feel safe. Do not absorb their psychological poison. Their terror is not your burden to carry. Acknowledge this question internally for what it is. A map of their limit, not a boundary on your potential. The Stoic response here is brutal in its simplicity. You look them dead in the eye and say, failure is always a possibility, but remaining exactly where I am is a guarantee. Watch how quickly they retreat when you calmly embrace the exact risk they are terrified of. Then we arrive at the fifth question. It is the most toxic, the most insidious, and often the most silent. Sometimes it is never spoken aloud. It bleeds through their passive-aggressive body language, their delayed congratulations, their forced, hollow smiles. Why you? Why did you get the promotion? Why did your business take off? Why did you find genuine peace? Why not them? This is the absolute nucleus of resentment. Covert jealousy is rarely about what you have achieved. It is about their deep-seated feeling of systemic injustice. They compare your current reality with theirs, willfully blind to the brutal sacrifices you made to get there. They want the gold, but they completely ignore the fire that forged it. They see the result. They erase the process. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow explains this beautifully. The jealous mind wants the reward without the sacrifice. Your victory forces them to confront the shadow they have spent years avoiding. Their own lack of discipline, their missed opportunities, their laziness. A secure person sees your success and uses it as fuel. An insecure person perceives every external success as a direct personal attack on their fragile identity. They ask why you because they lack the psychological fortitude to ask themselves, why not me? How do you navigate this silent hostility? The immediate human instinct is to shrink. When you sense one vibrating with that unspoken why you might feel the urge to downplay your achievements. Oh, it's not a big deal. I'm actually really stressed about it. You diminish your light to soothe their ego. Stop. Diminishing your reality to accommodate someone else's insecurity is a profound act of self-betrayal. It does not cure their jealousy. It only feeds their delusion. When you shrink to make a covertly jealous person comfortable, you validate their resentment. You tell their subconscious that they are right to be angry, that you somehow stole the very thing you bled for. Stop apologizing for the scars you earned in the arena. So, how do you navigate a relationship poisoned by silent envy? How do you respond when the masked questions come your way? You do not fight fire with fire. You fight it with a vacuum. You master the art of controlled indifference. First, strip them of the justification they seek. Never over-explain your success. When they ask, "How did you manage to get that promotion so fast?" do not launch into a detailed defense of your late nights, your stress, and your weekends. A simple, "I focused on executing the right strategy," is all they get. Explaining yourself is a subconscious plea for validation. You do not need a spectator's permission to wear the crown you forged. Second, eradicate false humility. Society conditions us to be modest, to deflect praise by saying, "Oh, I just got lucky," or "It is really not a big deal." This is a fatal psychological error. Downplaying your achievements to soothe an insecure peer is a direct insult to your own sacrifice. Own your competence. Yes, I am incredibly proud of the work I put into this. Watch the covertly jealous person choke on that sentence. A secure mind will celebrate your pride. An envious mind will suffocate on it. Third, construct emotional boundaries of steel. You must develop the situational awareness to realize when a conversation ceases to be an exchange of ideas and becomes an interrogation designed to map your weak spots. If the questions become invasive, "Are you sure this new business is going to last?" shut the door entirely. I am absolutely confident in the foundation I have built, and I am not interested in dwelling on hypothetical failures. You dictate the terms of engagement. Fourth, let your relentless forward momentum be your only response. The jealous mind is paralyzed. They want you to pause, to look back, to engage in their petty, localized drama. Do not break your stride. Marcus Aurelius commanded himself to be like the cliff against which the waves continually break. They will crash against you with their passive-aggressive doubts, their minimizing smiles, and their disguised interrogations. Let them break. You stand firm. This is not about malice, and it is certainly not about revenge. It is about ruthless energy conservation. Every ounce of emotional labor you spend trying to decode a jealous friend's true intentions, or trying to prove your worth to them, is energy stolen from your own ascent. Jealousy is fundamentally a parasitic emotion. It cannot create. It can only consume. If you engage with it, you become the host. We live in an era that actively breeds this specific brand of psychological rot. Social media has engineered an environment of perpetual, unavoidable comparison. Every scroll is a confrontation with someone else's highlight reel. Every step forward you take is broadcasted to people who are secretly terrified of moving. In this digital panopticon, modern jealousy has mutated. It rarely manifests as overt hatred. It is too cowardly for that. It survives in the shadows. It lives in the friend who watches every single one of your stories but never likes a post. It lives in the coworker who asks about your income under the guise of industry research. Understanding these psychological mechanisms is not just an intellectual exercise. It is a critical survival skill for the modern world. Developing your emotional intelligence means possessing the clinical detachment to look at a smiling face, hear an innocent question, and accurately diagnose the insecurity dripping from every syllable. So, how do you protect your energy when surrounded by this masked hostility? You do not confront it. You outgrow it. Confrontation implies they have equal standing in your reality. They do not. The ultimate response to covert jealousy is controlled indifference. When they attempt to minimize your progress with a subtle question, you offer a polite, empty smile. You give them nothing to grip, no emotional reaction to feed on. You become a psychological mirror, reflecting their insecurity back onto them in total silence. You let their words hang in the air until the absurdity of their own envy suffocates them. This psychological detachment is exceptionally vital today. We live in an era where comparison is industrialized. Social media has weaponized the human ego. Every success, every milestone, every moment of peace is hyper-visible. Every failure is scrutinized. Modern jealousy has mutated into a silent plague, thriving in the shadows of the like button and the passive-aggressive comment section. People are drowning in a sea of fabricated perfection, and your genuine ascent is a painful, unavoidable reminder of their own stagnation. Recognizing these 5 manipulative questions is not about building walls to shut the entire world out. It is about constructing a clinical filter for your inner circle. Emotional intelligence is the ability to look at someone, hear their seemingly innocent inquiry, and accurately diagnose the bitter resentment bleeding through their words. Once you see the mask, you can never unsee it. You stop trusting the smile, and you start trusting the pattern. Friedrich Nietzsche warned us that the higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. Your ambition will inherently disturb those who have surrendered to mediocrity. Your relentless discipline will always offend their localized laziness. Your success will forever feel like a personal insult to a fragile ego that refuses to do the work. Understand this absolute, unfiltered truth. It is not your responsibility to shrink so that others can feel comfortable in their own insignificance. You are not built to soothe the insecurities of the stagnant. Your only mission is to become entirely, ruthlessly yourself, and that will always disturb those who do not dare. Do not let your life stay stagnant. Hit subscribe and the bell icon to begin your journey of transformation today. Do you agree with this perspective? Drop a comment below sharing the most passive-aggressive question you have ever received. I really want to listen. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this truth. Keep moving forward, let them watch, and never apologize for the altitude of your flight.